I think we're almost there. We're almost there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's everybody get all joined on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Thank you. Someone's on already with us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We'll be getting started in just a second. Let me just check. We got a few more minutes before we get started. Hey, Chucky. Oh, you was first. Okay, Chucky. Thank you for checking in and being on time. Definitely appreciate it. Let me see if I can have Sanaa come for 1 second. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got about another minute and then we'll be ready to get started with today's topic. We're going to be checking back in to see. I don't like this collar. Hold on, it makes me look. I don't like my chin in this collar. So we're going to do this like this. Yeah, I like this better. Yeah, because it's like giving me those. I ain't like that, right? So we still waiting. Got a few more seconds. Okay, it's now 5:11. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Tea Time with Kitty. Charger, please. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Giving everybody a chance to get all logged in and ready to go. Hey, Shamika, you're always present. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see here, please, Sanaya. Thank you. And just so that we're getting started, today's topic is going to be talking about something that you gave your child, something you instilled in them, or something that was taught. Could have been something that you stand for, good ethics in some type of way. And we're going to talk about if you see it manifested in your child, or if you feel that it has already manifested inside your child, right? Hey, nah, I think that's not, yeah. So if it's manifested inside your child. So today is National Teachers Day. I think I have that right. So before we get into today's topic, I want to give everybody a second just to shout their favorite teacher out. It's very important that we shout our favorite teacher out, even if they're no longer with us. Some of us are older, so our teachers may have passed on. I would say my first favorite teacher was my fifth grade teacher, Miss Jefferson at Green Elementary. Miss Jefferson was just the sweetest. Growing up dark skinned, you was not always teacher's favorite, right? Hey, sis. You were not always teacher's favorites being dark skinned. I don't know if anyone else experienced that, but I'm going to be doing a topic on that down the line soon as well. But you wasn't always the teacher's favorite, right? So when I had that teacher that treated me like I was somebody, it was like in fifth grade. Now I must say, okay, Miss Smallwood, yes, it's Tamika. I must say that in Head Start, I had a beautiful set. You know what I'm saying? But you're young, you're innocent. But I'm talking about growing up. The first teacher that really touched me at a point where I needed that confidence was my fifth grade teacher, Miss Jefferson at Green Elementary, right? And oh, I just love that teacher. I love how she was so motherly, how she brought her to school, how she just gave you the whole sense of presence that she wanted to be there, right? So then when I got in sixth grade, I thought I had the meanest teacher in the world, right? Thought I had the meanest teacher in the world. Never can say that she treated me a certain type of way that made me be belittled. It's just that she was kind of left time enough for me, like Barbara Jean Part 2, right? And her name was Miss Williams. Miss Williams was my sixth grade teacher at Green Elementary, and I cried so bad on graduation day when it was time to leave her. Now, mind you, I thought she was the meanest, right? But I cried so bad, and she actually was my teacher Mark teacher and Prentice teacher. I think Chucky was in Miss Apple's class, if I can remember. But she taught all of us, and she said out of all of us, Mark was the best. You know, teachers always thought that about him. He's the best, smartest, nicest, just the best child you want to have in your class. But I definitely want to give those two teachers a shout out. Other teachers were okay. And I guess through my junior high school and high school years, I was more of, behavior. So I can see where there was times where teachers didn't really want to be bothered with you, right? But then I didn't really get to appreciate teachers again until I was in college. And I know that it was this Afrocentric professor I had in general that I thought was awesome. And it really made me start to learn to embrace my color, my heritage, everything associated with me, my hair. It was just really an awesome experience, right? But I cannot let it go unnoted without talking about Miss Jefferson and Miss Williams because I think that they were the beginning foundation of where I am today and who I am today. So definitely shout out to them. I know everyone on this timeline. Hey, Donald, have a favorite teacher. Is there anyone else? Today is National Teacher Day, right? And I know they make up a lot of days, but this day right here is so important. So we're just going to give everyone else about another minute just to put in your chat who your favorite teacher was. If you want to give them not only who your favorite teacher was or what school it was, and if you just want to give a little bit as to why that person was your favorite teacher, right? So, and then we'll get ready to move into today's topic, which we're going to be talking to parents about things that they feel like they have passed on to their children. Hey, sis, and that you're proud of them for today. So, sis, who's your favorite teacher? Can you think of any favorite teacher that you feel really felt that you had that made some type of impact on your life? It could have been good or bad because listen to the radio station this morning. They were giving stories about I think Griff has stated that when he, wanted to be a comedian, one of his teachers told him he would never be a comedian. And then the Erica Campbell stated that her teacher wanted her to do rock and roll instead of gospel. Gospel. I'm sorry. Let's see. No, actually, you hated all even in elementary. You didn't hate the teachers in elementary. Sis. You were my best teacher at home. You also helped me embrace my blackness. Thank you. So you all went through school. Nobody had no favorite teacher. Shamika gave me Miss Smallwood. Sanaya, Donald, Chucky, nobody else. Chucky, I thought Miss Apple was one of your favorites, right? Anybody else? Mr. Moore. Okay. What school was Mr. Moore at? Was Mr. Moore at Suitland? What school was Mr. Moore at? Anyone else with a favorite teacher? Anyone else? We're going to spend about one more minute before he was at Suitland. Excellent. Can't remember their names? Not anybody. Okay, Barbara. Okay, Mr. Moore, Barbara at Suitland. Okay, so that was a intimate experience learning a skill from him. Mr. Garner, and I know Mr. Garner is Johnson Junior High, and he was also the basketball coach. My third grade math teacher, Miss Lucas. Okay, Donna, what stood out about her? Nice, motherly. What stood out? And Miss Green. I don't remember Miss Green. I don't know what school that was at. What school that was at. Mr. Gilchrist at Easton. Okay, Mr. Gilchrist. And I know that Christian had someone, he wasn't a teacher, but he did some support in the school. And I cannot think of that guy's name, but he actually worked at he worked at Moulton with Christian, but he worked at Francis Scott Key with Donald, Shamika, Sanaya, and Samante. I think that's the only one school that they all had in common. Yep. So I think that I can't think of his name. Older guy, awesome man, Don, Mr. Hunter. Thank you, Donna, Mr. Hunter. And you see, and fifth grade, Miss Sly. Miss Sly was Yanni's teacher, and she was Donald's teacher at Francis Scott Key. And we still stay in touch with her today. Awesome, awesome woman, awesome teacher. Anyone else, as we wrap this up, we got about 2 more minutes. Anyone else had that teacher that just stood out? And and for some of you guys that's on the line, it may have just been a teacher that you felt like you had a crush on. Like Martin said that what was Martin's teacher name? Did anybody know Martin's teacher name that he had a crush on? And it could have been a little girl. Shamika, you might have had one of those men at Suitland you had a crush on. But do anybody remember what Martin Lawrence teacher was? It was on one of the Martin shows, and he had this teacher that he said he liked when he. I cannot remember that lady's name. Um, Mr. Hunter. Okay, Mr. Kennedy. What school was that, Sherelle? Mr. Kennedy. No one remember Martin's teacher name that he crushed on all the time. What was that lady name? What's her name? Miss Parker? I don't know if her name was Miss Parker. I think it. I don't know. I don't know. Why when I think of a teacher name, I just think every teacher name is Miss Parker. Friendship Collegiate, excellent, excellent. Miss Trinity. That was that the teacher name for Martin? Miss Trinity. Okay, Miss Trinity. Martin loved him some Miss Trinity. Is there anybody else that had a teacher crush? I cannot think of any teacher crush I actually had. Oh, yeah, that is her name. Okay. Never could think of a teacher crush that I had. But I do know that the Afrocentric teacher at UDC, was really awesome. I was amazed and inspired by him, but definitely wasn't crushing on him. But that's really cute when people have a teacher that make you just want to go to their class all the time just to sit in their classroom, right? Just having a teacher crush. You remember everything that teacher had to say. It has been a beautiful experience for the past couple of weeks. I've had an opportunity to visit UDC with my job for some training, and UDC really, really, really looks good, right? I'm still able to, maneuver myself around it and remember it really well and how to get to different places. But it really, really, really looks very well, right? Very well. And then, and I haven't actually since finishing having went back to visit or anything. So just that my job happened to have had me there. So you never know where you're going. As we talk about teachers, be encouraged, really, really be encouraged with your journey, whether it's your educational journey or your work journey, because you just never know the road. I know in this season of my life, I have had the opportunity to supervise several people that supervise me. And when I first came to the agency, that was not a vision that I seen for myself at all, right? And you find some that, one particular one, I'm not going to mention anyone's name, but she was a great supervisor to me, a great woman, never was in any agency mess or anything of that nature. Quiet and standoffish and stayed to herself, right? But never was in any of the agency drama that I've ever known of. Never sat with anybody, talking about anybody, or eating lunch. But I had the opportunity to supervise her just recently, and it was an awesome experience. And then most recently, I've had been charged to supervise someone who was a challenging supervisor to me, and that's really different because in the back of their mind, they're thinking, is this person going to act, back to me like I act to them, right? Okay, you can think of one like that. Okay. But this particular one now that I'm supervising, it was a little rough around the edges. Wasn't totally over the chart because I have that kind of personality where I'm not gonna let you go too far over the chart. But so supervising them is really different. And when I was talking to the new staff, just saying, the guidance and structure I got and to be able to supervise people that supervise you is really a different experience. And I know initially when I first started supervising people that supervised me, it was uncomfortable, because this is a little different, right? A little different. But the one thing I do is keep a great communication and staff that I interact with going up and down. So it doesn't make it that because I'm going to give you the same respect regardless of if I'm in a role that's higher than your role or if I'm in a role under your role. So when you have those types of things, already laid out, it definitely makes a difference and it definitely makes a work environment. So we want to hear from you all today on Tea Time on something that you gave your children and you see it either manifesting now because they're too young, right? To really show it all, or that you have seen manifest already, right? And I would like to go first while you all are typing. I would like to go first and say mine is work ethics, right? So my son, he works for, I don't know if he wants y'all to know where he works, but it's on his email kind of, but he works for Aussie, right? And he has an opportunity to work with two different people. I actually know a lot of people there, come to think about it, because he tells me that several people say, "You Kitty son." But two people that I know closer than others that he's had an opportunity to work with. And they are very, very, very impressed with his work ethics. And it makes me so proud. So when the first person told me, and I was like, yeah, yeah, I know he's a nice guy. He nice, right? But then when someone else went on and sent me a text telling me how proud, and this person actually started after him, right? How proud I should be of the way that I've raised him and how it's displayed in his character at work every day, right? So I just want to start off with saying thank you to those who have noticed and recognized, and given a big shout out to my son, Nathaniel, because I always say that, when someone goes and works somewhere, you really don't know. People tell you, oh, can you help this person with a job? Or you may not even help them. They may just work somewhere, right? Hey, so they may just happen to work somewhere, right? And they may come in may come in conjunction with them at some point, right? And you just want to make sure that your child is setting a bar, because I think one of the most embarrassing things, if one of my children was to come and work at DHS and display some of the behavior I've seen by some of the strictest supervisors at my job. I mean, like some of the ones that was under had time book holding it in their home. If you were 3 minutes late, and when I see their children and their children's work ethics and how they carry themselves, I would be embarrassed to bring my child there. But you know what they say sometimes? People can run everything but their house, right? Anybody ever heard, girl? Okay, you may know some too. You may know some too, right? So anyone in a supervisor, not just at DHS, it could be anywhere, Verizon, RC, where you've seen people, and sometimes you may help people get the job, right? Someone just sent me an email about a person, like, oh wow, okay. It's not just me, right? So everyone sees this, that you may be a manager at McDonald's, and I may say, hey, can you just get some eye in there? Just give it 4 hours, just to get it started. If you have any problem with that. But it is just so mind-boggling to me that people, I mean, I'm just a soul believer that people, right? So first of all, if I know someone that's not a good fit, and you know people, right? Because there are some people that I wouldn't ever tell I was hiring, right? And then you got some people that you will be quick to tell that you're hiring, right? So in any scenario like that, it's very important to, if someone help you get a job, whatever the case may be, or if you just work them and they're in a role of authority, right? Respect that person's position, because I know in a lot of places, management can be gone before the actual worker, right? So if you really care about them and have any sense of respect for them, respect them by doing right with that position, right? This person was top dog in our agency, but complain about their child weekly. Or people complain about their child. Exactly. Complain about the child, right? So let's be mindful of that. Is there anyone else you all done had a chance to type, and now all you need to do is hit the button? Tell me something, an attribute about your child that is even being built in them because they're too young, where you've totally seen it manifest, or if it's something that they're grown now and you see it. It could be the way you handle your money and they took that trait from you, which me and my kids had that trait. It could be keeping an extra clean house. My kids had a maid when they was young, and I feel like we're still being punished now. But just tell me something that makes, as a parent, tell me something that you instilled inside your child and you can see it paying off now. And again, I want to encourage those persons that's young. If you have a young child, just that your child knowing your mood is important, when to kiss you, things like that, it means that it's manifesting. Unfortunately, I passed the pressure on to my son. He has bad about, and you think that he may have mimicked your behaviors, because I notice sometimes people say that kids mimic things and see things and kind of watch it, and then they'll have the same behavior. So do you think that he just kind of like mimicked it, or you think he just kind of brought it up on his own? I think Lil Camille never quit. Oh, a little Chucky. Chucky never quits. Military was very hard for him. So you think that he got that stern, and that's what may have sent him to the military because of your sternness with raising him. And you think that and he is. Let me tell you about Nook Nook. He is very stern, like you, and Donald is someone else like that. And I'm working with Donald on that a whole bunch because Donald gets to the point where he feel like he doesn't need anybody for anything. And I've been told that I'm that way several times, and that's something that I made. And I, and I try to be more vulnerable with my kids now that no one's too strong where they don't need someone, right? Um, he did. He is a wonderful man. He just gets sad. Some right. Okay. Okay. And that's normal, especially when they go away, to the service and things of that nature. So it's different because you're trying to get a balance. But I think nephew is just awesome, and he's so handsome. So that can just cover up most things anyway. I think Sherelle is an awesome, dedicated parent. So do you feel like that's something that Sherelle got from you as well, being that awesome, dedicated parent? Some younger people, come on, younger people, kids are not grown. What's something that you can see? I can speak for Yari, or you. What's that? Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Yes, he's in Atlanta away from his family, so I feel bad that I can't hug it. Right when he needs it, right? When he needs it. Nala is very well rounded and a people's person. Nala is definitely a people's person, right? And when I think about Yari, every time I grab the broom, she grabs the dustpan. When Yanni was this age, Yanni was making more trash while I was cleaning trash. So that right there tells me that something is being instilled in Yari, and that I am setting a better example as a grandma than I did as a mom, because if it's one thing I would tell anybody that I felt my kids in was cleanliness, right? Cleanliness. I definitely felt them in that. But I said instead of being extra hard, the younger ones are better. I think it was Pookie and Yanni that probably felt the worst. Because Ronita used to try to help keep us together. She used to try to keep us together. And when Mika and Mimi would come up on a weekend, they would try to help keep Yanni together. But when they left to go back home for school, she'll get the room back where it was left off at, right? So let's definitely make sure, because I know that that's one area that I fell in. I try to make sure, I tell people, make sure kids clean up behind themselves, right? Yanni would go to birthday parties when she was little, and she was worse than Pookie. And as she was eating something, she will open a wrapper and drop it right on the floor and wait for me or whoever else to clean it up. And I know that that's probably how she got ruined, because if Donna and Shamika could tell you now, she still drops stuff, and they don't like it at all, right? My kids are very observant of people and energy, and discern people in their circle. That's excellent. And you feel that that is something that they got from you, because like I am a talker, right? So I have to remind myself it's very important to listen, right? Very important to listen, and watch people in their energy, making sure Nala always comfortable expressing herself. That is awesome, and she definitely is. You got that. She's definitely she wants to know why. And I do not, and I know that you all don't either, but I do not let anybody take that away from Nala. Like anybody, like even down to her pacifier, when she struggled with that. I know that she struggled with it for because of Yari, but no one's going to still make her feel uncomfortable. And that's why I was on it with the schools, with the potty and training piece, because the last thing you want to do is take children's self-esteem away, right? Even with things that we feel like somebody may, oh, she's too big for for a pacifier. And I probably would say, well, your stomach too big to keep drinking beer, and your bed too small to keep having different men and women over, and your kids too young for you to smoke weed in front of them. So we all have some things that we can go on and on and on looking at someone else's life, right? So that's why I embrace every zone, and that's why I just thankful that God has allowed me the opportunity to be a part of them being raised in their early years, is right here with them up until it was time for them to, go to daycare. I wasn't like that as a kid, so I made sure she knows it's okay to say how you feel, because I'm telling you, and you much younger than me. And when I was coming up, you ain't had no say so. You do as what they say, you do as I say and not as I do. You had no say so, right? So you just did, Even if you've seen everybody around you doing wrong, you did it because you were a child. Is there any more parents out there? Two of my favorites are not on Tea Time today, Trail and Yanni, which we are still praying for them. They're in the air, along with some of my church family as well, and the people that they went on the trip with. They're heading to Dubai on a 13-hour flight. I think they're supposed to land about 1 in the morning. Uh, I have not put myself in a position where I could do 13 hours on a flight as of yet. So just continue safe traveling for them, because that's a lot of safe traveling up in the air. She did text and stated that the airplane is huge. It has an up and downstairs on it. I have never been on a two-level airplane. Anyone else been on a two-level airplane? I have never. And I think I seen it on that movie where the lady daughter went missing, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot the name of that, but they was trying to say she didn't get on the plane with her daughter. And I think that that particular plane had an upstairs and a downstairs. But I have never been on one that had one. So if anyone else has been on an airplane with an upstairs and downstairs, just hit in the chat. She said that the food is delicious. They're feeding them really well. And the drinks are also included. Still waiting for some parents to chime in. I just want to hear some parents tell me with younger children, even if they're under one, when you kiss them, they know to kiss you back, right? When you know how much affection that is, that when you pucker your lips, that their lips are already ready to meet yours. Do you know how important those type of things are? So important. Um, just the small things that you're instilling in them, and they're watching everything that we do, right? Happy second birthday to Amir, my little niece Amir, Tierra's daughter. She turned 2 on today. So happy birthday to her. As I shared with you all last week, I will be speaking at my women's conference this Saturday, which is the 8th. And our Women's Day service will be the following Sunday, which is the 9th. If anyone wants to join, the service is free. The brunch is $25, which includes you being fed spiritually and physically. I also had the opportunity to fellowship with my sister Tamika, Dr. Tamika Greenwood, Friday and Saturday with her church, First Baptist Church of Glenarden. They celebrated their women's event. Awesome. Tasha Cobbs Leonard was there. Um, I've always heard her sing, but I had never heard her bring forth a word. Awesome experience. Awesome experience. So I have definitely been in prayer for my church that we will regrow. We definitely need it. It gets discouraging at times seeing that so many members have passed. We've lost, oh my gosh, over the COVID between 2019 into 2020. I can't think of the number of members that we have lost, right? So we're praying that it can be that we can rebuild, and that we will be restored, because I want to see the children choir back again, so that my two granddaughters can be up there singing, and I can be running all over the church and shouting and kicking and saying, "You better sing, Nyla." So I am definitely looking for that. And I'm definitely praying on the next direction that God will have for me in my spiritual life, right? And so anyone else, anything else that you anyone else, I know that with Yanni, Hooked on Phonics. Let me tell you about Hooked on Phonics. Hooked on Phonics, I had got it for Pookie when he was about 6 or 7, maybe. I will never forget. That was an investment. I paid about $700 and some for that Hooked on Phonics, and you could pay it in installments, right? But one of the best investments. And I used to play it for Pookie at night to help him with his phonics. I don't even think Dayan was a year old yet when I was playing it for him. And by the time she was a year, she was able to sound out sounds really well, right? Sound out sounds, sound out words, right? And I wasn't thinking about learning or that much in tuned into it and all that good stuff yet. But this is how favor goes over your life, right? So and you would listen to it, and by the time she was 2, she could read a book, most basic book she could read. And I would tell people all the time, she could read. And people, like, little girl can't, in a 2-year-old baby reading. She ain't read. And I was like, she could read, and it just got to the point where some people I just stopped saying it to because nobody could believe that she could read at that young age. So maybe if she had came from like Beverly Hill, or if I was a doctor and her dad was a scientist, people probably, but not me living around Robinson Place with 2 kids still young, that this 2-year-old is reading. And when she started reading at 2, she never stopped. Never stopped. She would literally go missing in Kmart. And if you wanted to find her, she'll be inside of a beanbag reading a book. I mean, she read so much till it became overwhelming. Like reading, most parents, like, you want your child to read a book. It was to the point where you would get upset and tell her, go put that book down. Like at times I found myself like, this is sickening. Like, you don't do anything else. You won't clean your room, you won't stop and eat, you just sit here and read and read and read and read, right? And most people like, oh, that's how bad it was, right? And it was different for me, right? And because of that, I just got bookshelves after bookshelf, and we always kept at least 2 6-shelf bookshelves just with books, for her and Pookie and myself. And we read a lot. We read a lot all through my college years. We all read a lot, right? Um, and I would like to say that that's one thing that I passed down to him. Can't say learning because I wasn't this old book smart guru, right? But definitely reading, which opened us up in so many ways. And that's why I encourage people so much. Don't feel limited on what you can or cannot do. There's a book for everything. And you don't even have to have a book anymore. Now it's a Google for everything. If you know that you like to use TO when you should be using TOO, or if you would like to use Pacific instead of specific, they have books that will help you with all those things when you send in an email so that your eyes will always be capitalized, right? When you start a sentence, it will always be capitalized. If you don't want anybody looking at your writing and how you word your things and how you spell your things and making them feel that you're inadequate because you just lack that little piece, right? Get yourself some books, get yourself some knowledge, right? Teach yourself, be your best teacher. We know that today is World Teacher Day, but be your best teacher. Jesus, I'll get Grammarly right. Be your best teacher. Do not let, because the thing that I found, I always felt that I was smart, but those were some things that I struggled with, right? And those things can hinder you so bad because don't nobody want a boss that's starting a sentence off with a lowercase letter. You know how that would look at an executive board meeting, right? And it doesn't even mean that you're not smart enough for that job, but you have to market yourself. So when you're thinking about being one of your best teachers, make yourself a part of that plan, right? When you give a shout out to that best teacher who made you, because a lot of times it's you that's up until 3 o'clock in the morning studying it for that exam, right? A lot of times it's you skipping a meal at the cafeteria to make it to the class to take that final test. So always recognize yourself as a teacher. Never be extremely hard on yourself that you don't give yourself some credit, right? And that's why when I say I'm going to start saying things, and I must give a disclosure that it's not going to be in vain, but it's going to be honest. Like, you don't understand a story growing up being a dark skinned girl if you didn't grow up a dark skinned girl, right? And you shouldn't feel a certain kind of way about embracing your beauty now that you found it. Like when you found it, if you've been struggling with weight, if you've been struggling with hair, if you've been struggling with, your body, um, figure or stature, because all the time it's not weight. Because I've seen skinny people that may struggle with how they're shaped, right? So it's not always about weight. But if you're struggling with something, then and you overcome that, embrace your beauty, right? Embrace your beauty. It's very important to teach yourself how to love, how you want to be loved, and don't discredit yourself as being your best teacher. With the help of God and my supportive family and friends, I would not be where I am without me. Like, I am one key component, one key factor to where I am, right? And I had healthy pregnancies. Although I was young, I truly had healthy pregnancies with my children. Of course, I ain't smoked, I ain't drank, I drunk plenty of milk. Drunk water all the time, ate a lot of peanut butter and jelly. The worst thing I probably had when I was pregnant with my children was probably some noodles with eggs in it or something like that. Not that the eggs was not healthy, but noodles, is not that healthy. But I really had healthy pregnancies, right? And my daughter had a healthy pregnancy, and my granddaughter mom had a healthy pregnancy. And my daughter was able to breastfeed. And when I look at my granddaughters, and that's why I made a post about being a common denominator of why they're so smart, right? And when I look at those things, it truly matters that being that teacher. They say as a parent, you're also a teacher. So let's give our child the fresh start. Make sure we're not stressing. And stress is going to come, but let's make sure we get rid of some of those thoughts in our head when they come, right? Because stress can be good or bad, but let's not overwhelm ourselves when we're in pregnancy, right? Let's make sure we're eating well while we're in pregnancy, making sure we're taking our supplements so that our nails can grow, our hair can grow, and that the baby is just not taking everything from us, right? So those are some things that we want to look at, because that's the first part of being a great teacher, a great parent, is taking care of your child before they're in the world, right? Taking care of your child before they're in the world, making sure that when I have this baby, I have a home to bring the baby to. Like I have a home, I have a job to buy this baby a coat if nobody else buys a coat, right? And I have a very intimate story that makes me push the way that I push, being a young mom and being put in a situation when I was a young mom that I couldn't make a better situation for me and my son, right? And after that day, I vowed that I will never, ever, 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 and I'm thinking it's 33 years later, depend on anybody when it came to me and my child, right? And I embrace that with all of my children. So pat yourself on the back if you are a parent. Right now, take this moment, pat yourself on the back, because it is National Teachers Day. And you are your child's first teacher. And although we sometimes are hard on ourselves and don't feel like we did this or we didn't do that right, know you did something right. If you choose to keep your child, if you choose to raise your child, in spite of all the difficult things in life, even if we had to go to bed with just noodles at night, if you choose to raise your child and be there for your child, never, ever, ever, ever leaving your child's side, doing the best that you could do, regardless of what your age was or what your situation was, you definitely deserve a pat on the back for National Teachers Day, because the one that you have showed your child is love and commitment. And that's something that a degree cannot get for your child, right? So I want to make sure we're staying positive on that note. I want to make sure that we are recognizing ourselves, that we're recognizing people that has helped us get to the level in which we're at now. And I just want to say thank you all so, 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 so much for sipping with a sister Wednesday after Wednesday. And I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Thank you so much.